Hi, everyone. Welcome to the So I'm a Fan of podcast, where people from different fandoms come together to share why they love what they love and sometimes hate what they hate. Today is the second part of the Precure Full Bloom podcast episode, as we discuss episodes 4 and 5 and see if Sabrina can tell which Precure team is which. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Okay, so the episode opens up with this blonde gentleman evaluating an apartment complex. He's talking about how trashy it is, and sure enough, one of the residents, we don't know his name yet.
I'm sorry.
No reveal. Calm down, Kaiser. Not everybody has seen Precure before.
I'm sorry. Not everybody's seen Yes 5 Precure before. There's a difference.
Anyway, Kaiser.
Villain.
So this gentleman is evaluating the apartment. Of course, he bumps into an elder woman who lives there as he's talking trash about it to himself. And he tries to explain to the old woman how they're not trying to get rid of it. They're just trying to renovate and expand and make it better. When, of course, the woman's starting to panic because I'm sure it's probably a low-income housing that's about to get demolished to build new apartments. But sure enough, the first time during the day, the shadows appear and begin taking over. Of course, it starts with the old woman and then the other people within the apartment complex. And so the scene cuts off with the blonde man almost getting attacked by the shadows. Yes. And then it jumps back to where we are.
It's funny because the black light goes and it goes into the woman's body. And then she just falls out. I don't mean to find that hilarious. I didn't find it hilarious at first because this old lady fell on the ground backwards. But now that I think about it, this old lady fell on the ground backwards. I fall and I can't get up. Okay.
Another one kind of hates old people. Hates cripples and old people. So anyway, after this little apartment complex scene, kind of pans back to the cafe bar times where they always eat food. Where the main group that we know as so far has met two more girls who are part of the Precure. Their names are Mai, who she works for JPK agency, doing advertisements, and then Aki, who works for her family's bakery company. And so, of course, they introduce each other or reconnect, as Kaiser said, because they've done crossovers before. Mm-hmm. And they're all adults now. And they meet up, they exchange numbers, the same as we see in that episode, to them all reconnecting. And it ends them going back to their daily lives. And of course, this time, though, we're focusing on Mai and Saki, the newer characters, specifically Mai. And so, of course, it opens with her at the office, and we start seeing, in a sense, similar to the last group, they're the struggles in their day-to-day life that, originally they may have played off as being a little too nice. And so, of course, Mai opens up by getting dumped by her boyfriend, probably. Her boyfriend. And, of course, having a little midlife crisis as she goes through her day at work, seeing other people in their societal norms, a pregnant woman, people getting married, things like that, just popping up in her work day, going through meetings, and you could see it's weighing down on her, especially since her boyfriend has just dumped her, which again is another societal norm. Getting a boyfriend, getting married, having kids, and she's just realizing she doesn't have that, and she doesn't outwardly talk down on these people or think bad of them. She just has this discontent with herself, thinking that, why am I not meeting this similar standard? And of course, it gives us a break. We see Nozomi and Rumi / Milk talking about the possibility of recruiting Mai and Saki into their group officially and like them restarting the Precure. And of course, like they're talking about, oh, but Saki's getting married. Is this something that's really going to be realistic? And of course, that leads to Kurumi asking Nozomi about how her and Coco are doing. And of course, Nozomi, like up to this point in the show, we don't really hear a lot about their relationship past like Kurumi bringing it up, like it passing like Coco. But Nozomi is kind of like really shy about it. Like we get these glimpses of her having flashbacks of him from the original middle school days, but never like any real conversation.
So I'm going to say this. I'm just going to let this out now because some people, there is a problematic aspect, a very anime type of aspect to Nozomi and Coco's relationship. And the reason why Nozomi wants to be a teacher is because Coco inspired her to be a teacher. And he was her teacher. They never...
FBI, open up!
And that's the thing is because they're Coco and Nuts are young, right? But they don't specify how young they are. They're when they turn into their human forms, they're old enough looking to pass as adult. And it's anime-ish too at the same time, because at the same time, I don't know, because he's her teacher, right? But also he comes from this different kingdom. And so when he comes from the different kingdom as a disguise, he becomes a teacher. But he doesn't have any like the credentials or anything. He just becomes the teacher. I don't know what type of story loop-de-loops you got to do for that. I'm just letting you know now for the people to know, because people are complaining. Some people are against Coco and Nozomi because he was a teacher, and I understand. But the fanboy me who watched, the seasons, I don't. It's problematic for me to say this, but I like them as a couple. Just gonna say that.
It can be argued that like him being a teacher is a disguise, so he may not actually be that age, he may not look like that, but like it's kind of messed up because this whole time her romantic experience has been with him as a man.
As a man, yes, and it's different for like Komachi and Nats, because Nats, he appears to be the same age as Coco, but he's like, he runs a store, you know what I mean? And they help.
He's old enough to run a store?
But that's the thing. In the Precure universe, a lot of people run stores. And like in like one of the Precure shows, they all run a cafe and they're middle school kids. So I'm like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, I don't really know what to. It's like very anime.
Yeah, like questionable. What can you say? Because it's a fictional universe.
Because they look like teenagers too, but it's like, how old are you?
Yeah.
But I look like a teenager. I don't know what to tell. You don't see me.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, back to the description. So, of course, Nozomi said she's a little awkward about it, and she's like, "Oh, we've been exchanging letters through syrup," and I don't know necessarily if that's true or not, but it's kind of implied that she's trying not to meet him until she feels like she's become a real teacher in her mind, like a good teacher. Because to this point, she still lacks confidence, even though all her students love her. Like she's doing educationally, in my opinion, anyway. Talking about global warming, doing well to educate her students and prepare them for the world, but she just doesn't feel like she's measured up yet. And so, of course, we turn back to Mai, and we find out that she's taken the day off to go help Saki run her sell bread in their little car that they have the bakery out of. Ironically, the apartment complex that we saw at the beginning of the show or the episode. And of course, no one is to be found. They're kind of man, it's a little quiet around here. And there's a park at the front. It's run down, but they decide to hang out there, and Saki breaks the swing. But she kind of uses it. Oh, sorry.
No, I was about to say they actually talk about when they come to the apartment complex and how it's worn down and stuff. And Saki mentions how it used to be a place where a whole bunch of families would always be. But as over time, as the children grew up and stuff, it just became more worn down and no one was paying attention to it. And as a whole, the complex just became this worn down place. And I think that speaks a lot to real life stuff too, how that happens. And I found
how if you don't take care of something, it's not going to last.
Mm-hmm. And how that actually happens with apartment complexes and things like that. When it's just a whole bunch of elderly people, especially you see as society doesn't treat the elderly with as much respect as they should. You know what I mean? Now that all the families are gone, all of a sudden there's no worth or value to this place, and we're going to tear it down in order to build a whole new complex, like you were saying in the beginning of the episode.
Of course, they're sitting there in like this lighthearted moment where Saki breaks the swing. Saki uses this as like a way to try and encourage Mai to talk about like what she's been holding. She can not everything is okay. And of course, it takes a moment, but Mai like basically admits that like about her breakup with her boyfriend, and also about how, because of course Saki tries to comfort her saying, oh, maybe this is just a patch, like me, my fiance fight all the time, and Mai just admits that like she didn't see a future with him, or like just a future in general. She admits to how everybody else is like growing up around her, like dating, getting married, and having kids, but she just can't picture that necessarily for herself.
Yeah.
And how like she feels like she doesn't want this conventional life that everybody else has and is being pushed on her to have by society. And of course, like Saki is like trying to comfort her, saying, well, that's fine. You don't have to have this conventional life. And while they're having this conversation, they end up seeing this old man, like the first person they see in this entire scene. And he falls over. And of course, they get up there and they go check on him. But sure enough, from his shadow grows one of the shadow monsters. And at this point, like, they're, of course, scared. They start trying to dodge and run away. But the monsters just start pouring out of the complex. Like, all the people have obviously been taken over by the shadow monsters.
Yeah, and they run into Bumby, who was the man from the complex earlier. But as they're running away, the shadows end up jumping on him. And so Saki and Mai end up leaving him, right?
Like, they start climbing the complex, like, making it to the very top. And Saki's, like, calling Kurumi saying, hey, like, we need help. Like, we got shadows here at this apartment complex. Help us. And, the phone dies. Like, they're still running. And right at the last second, as they're about to be cornered and taken over by the shadow monsters, Lo scoops Syrup, who up to this point I thought was a penguin. He was not a penguin. He was just a bird. He scoops them up, and they're saved by Nozomi, Kurumi, Syrup, and then, of course, the blonde man who we find out is Bunby, one of the fairies, I presume.
No, he's not a fairy. He was one of the main antagonists of the first show, so he was a villain.
He had an insect like outfit, so I was like, he can't be a priest. Like, what is he?
Yeah, that's what he used to fight against them. The funny thing about him is, like, with ES5 Precure, is the villains were all a part of a corporate system. And so it was this corporation. And so it was basically like his corporate. He appears a lot in Precure media, but like the corporation lifestyle and the toxicity of that and using their villains for that. And that was a big part of ES5.
At this point, like, once safe, they, of course, go to their favorite place to eat, the Times Cafe and Bar. And yeah, start drinking again, which ironic because so in Japanese and like Asian culture in general, like communal eating, going out to eat and have family style eating where it's like giant plates that you eat all together, and then of course drinking. It's like a big part of the culture, so it makes sense why they constantly are drinking. They're like basically trying to reconvene after what happened, and they turn on the news, and of course it's the apartment complex, the police, and whoever had gotten there and found everyone passed out. The shadows at this point gone, and they start bringing everybody to the hospital, which of course ends up being Karen's hospital. And she says how they're taking all the patients, and she'll keep them posted of to what they discover in the upcoming, I wouldn't say procedures, but what do they call that? The checkups. And at this point too, the girls kind of agree that they want to band together and recreate Precure, like the group as a whole, and that they want to start taking down whoever is creating these shadow monsters. And of course, like, the final scene is just Mai alone, or technically not the final scene, but it's Mai alone, and she comes to terms, like, that she's sitting alone in her home. But, like, she was, like, kind of accepted, like, the fact that she may not want a conventional life. And of course, she calls somebody, I presume it's her boyfriend.
Yeah, it's her boyfriend she calls, because she was like, I should text you, but I'm going to call you.
Yeah, because she at this whole point, like, she hadn't texted him back after that initial, like, breakup text. And so she wants to address him, like, in person, like, not just a text message. And what leads with them having that phone call, it's kind of got a more, like, positive note. It's not like this fight that ends. It's like this, like, acceptance, which, like, a healthy way of ending their, or possibly ending their relationship.
Good on her for not texting.
The final scene. Yeah, I know. I like when important stuff like that. I'm like a firm believer in, like, you don't text that if it's something that important. Like, it's not even just breakups, because I wouldn't say I've had a good many of those, a little in relationships in general. But like anything that's important like that, or like bad news, good news, I like to hear that in person.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's an argument or a dispute, like if someone tries to pick a fight
Mhm.
with me or like there's a disagreement, I'm like, okay, like I 100% understand how you're feeling, but I'm not going to respond right now. I think we should meet in person and talk because
Yeah.
I feel like feelings get misconstrued over the phone.
Yeah, because when you're texting, especially, let me just go into this for a second. That is the number one way for you to misinterpret what somebody says is if you
Yeah.
to read a text and then all of a sudden you have this imagination of how you think they said what they said or how you read it and how you interpret it, and then all of a sudden it just blows up in your face.
It happens. Miscommunication is really big, especially over texting.
Don't argue. Don't text arguments.
Yeah.
Talk.
Don't. Talk in person. And then I guess to wrap up the episode, of course, we see Coco talking to, was it Nuts or was it Syrup?
He's talking to Nuts is talking to, no, Syrup is bringing Coco a letter from Nuts.
Yes, and we don't know necessarily what it's about, but
from Milk.
we assume it's regarding what we see is like this drought with a single pool of water in the cave.
Episode 4, I feel, was the most relatable episode so far.
I was just gonna say, you had asked me who my favorite so far was, and it has to be Mai, because I felt like very relatable. Like growing up, I definitely felt that same pressure of like what was expected of me, like similar to Karen, about how I was like the president of a club. I had to do all this stuff to be like reliable and perfect and whatnot. But I felt like I related to Mai more in the sense of like her struggle emotionally, like not wanting the things that everybody else wanted.
And what's it like to realize that you're not having those things and you feel like you're weird because you don't want those things? You know what I mean? So it's not even that not just that she didn't want it, it's that like she's actually living that life and she's realizing that everybody else around her is trying to rush to do this other thing, getting married, having kids, trying to like have a different career. And how one of her coworkers was talking about how they got these art degrees, right? Mai's dream is to be an artist. She's actually fulfilled that. She's a graphic designer. And how Mai is actually, she likes her job. And so her coworker is talking about how they got these degrees and all they're sitting here is doing logo, which is very relatable actually, like figuring out the size of the logo.
Which, like, this is like as an artist, like I understand I've done a little bit of graphic design here and there just to obviously take commissions. But it's not as simple as that woman said it to be, like, all we do is change the size of images and text on a paper. I want to do stuff like this. And like she even pulls this example of this person painting on their phone. And like that's relatable, but I think it's important, like that also, like you said, it shows that like she's happy where she's at. She's happy in her career. And like what she wants is not what everybody else wants. She doesn't want to have a kid like that coworker who's going on maternity leave. She doesn't care if she's not doing the most unique art. All that mattered was, just fulfilling her current, what she was doing in life. She wasn't stressed about the future, which I admire because I tend to get a little overworried in the future. Again, that's why I like her. I feel like she's very much in the present and appreciating what she has, but also fretting what she can't find her in herself to care about, that like everybody else is making such a pressing matter.
It's so relatable because it's like you feel like there's something that maybe you should care about. I relate to this episode so much. You feel like maybe this is something I should care about. People are telling me I should care about this. People are putting these expectations on me, but I'm realizing that maybe I don't care because it's just I'm not supposed to care. Maybe I'm supposed to just be doing something else that matters to me. And then coming to a point to, you may not, it's weird because you might care about it in the future, but right now it's not that time, or you might not ever care about it. So it's having this balance of trying to figure out like, what is it that you really want, and learning to just focus on the present now instead of always just trying to go into the future, because it's going to happen when it happens. And I know, especially with me, especially like this last year and stuff, that's me like really learning a lesson, because in my life, like trying to figure out what I want and things like that, and really realizing that a lot of things that other people want just aren't things that I'm interested in, no matter how much I try to be interested in it, no matter how much I try to like fit into that bubble. it doesn't work out. And every time I try to do, that's when it like explodes in your face, right? Oh, this episode, I love this so much. Like I said, this was the episode that caused me to want to talk about this show. I found it relatable.
I was happy I got this episode. I was like, yes, my favorite one.
So if episode 5 is when the narrative really starts to take more of a focus and starts to shift, it's basically like everybody's here now, right? Nozomi is talking about dreams to her students. She asks them, what are their dreams? And she ends up, and they say a whole bunch of things, doctors, other stuff that I can't think of. I can't remember. Dreams. And they end up asking her how she found hers. And it's a nice callback. What I like about the show is that they do call back to the previous series, but they don't do it in a way that confuses viewers who are newer to the show, right? They show you the things and then that overloading you with stuff like this is what happened in this previous episode. You know what I mean? You don't have to feel like you have to watch that episode in order to know what a narrative
to follow along. Like,
yeah.
Again, to repeat, I've never seen anything else with Precure but this show, like these 5 episodes we watch. Like as somebody who's no attachment, like you said, it's like very easy to comprehend and pick up. And
so she tells them how the story of how she was basically a lazy bum student. I wrote she was a lazy bum student who had no confidence in herself. Nozomi was the character who did not get good grades. She was, the 13 test girl, got a 13 on her math test. But meeting Coco changed all that. And that helped her unlock her full potential and helped her realize that it doesn't matter like where you are now. You can always fulfill your dreams if you work hard enough and believe in yourself. And after that, we go to the restaurant where they talk about how shadows have been still showing up and more people are being found unconscious every day. And what sticks out to me with this episode, because it's the 5th episode and this is the latest episode, Ren wonders if they should be the ones to do it. And I'm wondering if that fit into her episode, which is the 6th episode, which comes out next week. Because in the preview, she talks about whether she doesn't know if she can become a Precure. And I just found that interesting, but I'm just going to leave it at that. They end up talking about the Dark Knight Light. And I'm surprised that Saki and Mai don't recognize the 2 characters in there, because I will say that the characters, they obviously have cat faces and like they're covering, but their designs, I'm surprised they didn't recognize who they are. Because they are characters from their show. I'm just going to say that. Milk tells that she contacted Coco and Nats. And Nozomi actually, she's trying to hide it, but she's getting like really happy. And Saki and Mai end up noticing. And so when Nozomi leaves to go home, they ask about it. And the other girls tell them how basically her and Coco are soulmates. Okay? They the one and onlys. They are the love of each other. But also that she and Coco have not spoken since she was in college. I don't know if it was since she graduated college or since she was in college. I think they said since she graduated college, and it was like 4 years. So I'm like, it's been 4 years since she graduated college or 4 years since she's been in college. I don't know. Anyways, not to my point, they haven't talked in a long time. They haven't spoken in 4 years, besides through letters. And Coco himself doesn't want to go. He wants to focus more on the thing going on with the Donut Kingdom, because the Donut Kingdom is losing resources such as water. They're going through some sort of drought. I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with the series as a whole, or if it's just a thing going on in the kingdom just to show that they're busy. I don't know. But Syrup ends up telling them that another time flower has bloomed. And according to Nats, he went to actually do a bit more research, and he found out that the time flower is a sort of sinister flower. And that brings up a whole bunch of questions. And Coco, still not wanting to go, stays, and Nats and Syrup leave. So Kurumi and Komachi meet up, getting tea or whatever, and eventually they end up talking about the channel that they were talking about earlier, the Dark Knight Light. And again, they show like a video of these characters talking about a cat and then going away from that cat and then talking about waffles and then forgetting they talked about the cat. It's a whole little joke that wasn't really that funny, but they thought it was funny. And right as they're talking, Komachi says that maybe what they're doing is a good way to revitalize the town. And so in this conversation with her and Milk, they end up talking, like giving a few seeds about what's going on with their storylines. Because I think it's obvious by now with the show, they keep sowing seeds of things that's going to happen in the future. Kamachi is talking about revitalizing the town. Milk is talking about her job. Somehow that's gonna go into the storylines. I think that's obvious. Anyway, Nat shows up, and Nat looked like a model. Comes, and her and Kamachi and Milk are excited because he was Kamachi's love interest in the show. And Nozomi is excited because she gets to meet up with Coco again. So I'm wondering, because they're always talking about Precure in the restaurant. Do the restaurant owners know that they're Precure by this point? Because they're always talking about it. And what's her name? The woman, she's like, everybody's inside waiting for you. And I'm just like, are y'all just like that much of regulars? Do they know that you're Precure? I need to because I would have found out by
It'll
then.
probably be later on. It'll probably be like, oh my gosh, you knew we were Precure the whole time? And it's like, oh yeah, you guys talked about it every day.
Yeah. I never watched the full Splash Star show, so I don't know if at the end everybody finds out about their powers, because some Precure shows they do them. They did that in Healing Good and stuff like that. So some people know that you Precure. But I'm wondering, do they know? Because they just happily talking about it. I would have sent it out, told the news and everything. In the universe, if that was real life, I wouldn't do that because that's your business. I ain't getting killed for you. But they end up talking and enjoying dinner. And what I found, what was nice is how Nats was talking about, they have to protect small moments like this, like the peaceful moments where people are just eating and smiling and going about their daily lives. Those are the things that are just really important. It's not always the biggest thing.
And so as they're speaking, Nats ends up detecting this evil presence. And so all four of them, Nats, Komachi, Milk, and Nozomi, end up following a shadow, which is going in between the alleyways. And what happens is Nozomi ends up seeing another shadow. And so she splits up from the group and follows that shadow and ends up going into the alleyway where she and Coco first met. And as she's looking in surprise, that's when she is detected by the enemy and captured.
And she's in this dream-like world. And she ends up in that dream-like world telling her students that having a dream is a waste. It's a waste of time. You might as well not bother. Just give up. You know what I mean? And Ozumi being Ozumi is no, that's not true. It's important to have dreams. And that's when she's confronted by what she calls the Black Angel, Belle. And meanwhile, the other three are surrounded by shadows. And that's when Milk turns into Milky Rose and begins to fight them. And, that's basically all they do for the rest of the episode. And that's when Belle, it focuses more on Belle and Ozumi. And Belle reveals, what their plan is, basically. It reveals, the shadows in people's hearts are weak-willed and selfish. People are selfish. They're only focusing on what makes them happy that day. They're only focusing on themselves. And I found that to be an interesting commentary because I'm are you doing it because they're only focusing on their happiness in the moment, or they're selfishly focusing on the happiness that only comes to themselves? You know what I mean? Are they really self-indulgent? Do they really just think about themselves? Or are they thinking about the happiness of the day? Are they that self-absorbed, really? And so that's when Belle decides to reveal Nozumi's selfish desires for Coco. Because when she takes Nozumi's form, she's wondering why Coco never comes and visits her. Does he still care about her? Is there anything that's important about her in his life anymore? And Nozumi's but he's busy with his duties. And I think Belle brings up an interesting point. She's even so, wouldn't he have visited you at some point? And I'm okay, don't go like that, okay? but which is true. And Nozumi tries to transform, but it doesn't work. And she ends up being surrounded by a whole bunch of shadows. But that's when Coco comes in, transform into his human form. And so he comes to rescue her and stands up for her. And then Shadow Nozumi asks why he forgot about her. And because she's been waiting for so long, and why he's always so busy. Has he lost interest in her? But he says that there isn't a day that goes by since the day that he met her that he doesn't think about her. And what he says is, what he realizes that Belle does is Belle intensifies people's worries and creates illusions from those worries and emotions. And Belle was like, "Oh, so you want to come at me? You have a wavering heart too." Transforms into Coco and like, "You feel useless and unable to protect your kingdom, and you can't help the other kingdoms, and you felt useless for a long time because you always have to rely on Nozomi and everyone else to protect you in your kingdom." And Nozomi ends up taking up for Coco. It's like this whole thing where Nozomi is feeling despair and Coco comes to protect her. And then when Coco feels despair, Nozomi comes in to protect him. And they're like, "We worry sometimes, but that doesn't mean we're giving up. Because for the sake of everyone's future, we're going to fight against you." And Nozomi quickly becomes Cure Dream. And Belle like intensifies the monster's power. You think it's gonna be a long fight, but you only have 5 minutes left of the episode, so she takes out quite quickly and defeats Belle. And then Belle leaves in the most like dramatic fashion, like the wings spreading like wind going everywhere, and then just like disappears. I'm like, that's how you do a villain like outro. Like when you a villain, I feel like when you come into a room as a villain, you come in subtly. You know, like you don't have to use your powers. You just walk in, right, and all the attention's on you. But then when you leave out, you got to make sure you leave the people with a presence. You got to make sure that you're giving them something to think about. You know what I mean? That's the villain thing to do. And so they defeat Belle and she leaves. And then Nozomi cries into Coco's chest because she like misses him. And they hug each other and the other three see them. And Belle leaves the fight saying that they won't give up either. So I guess they kind of inspire Belle in some way. Like, "Oh, you won't give up? Then I won't give up either. Kill all humans." That episode was quite intense, I think, because it started to take the story and move it forward, because it was still a character focused episode, but I liked it. How did you feel about it?
I liked it too, because I didn't, like you said, I enjoyed it. It was like, because to this point, we see Belle like rallying troops in a sense, like she's collecting and slowly building her army. But I feel like this is where we start to see her plan go into action, and then actually taking like measures against Precure and like humans, because at this point they were just doing everything they could to expand their numbers, but now the plan's starting. Like they're being meticulous, they're cornering them, they're creating strategy, and Belle is starting to try and like make her presence more known, show herself as like, "Hey, like I'm the big bad, it's you versus me, it's gonna be a battle to the death kind of situation." Because like up to this point they didn't know who was causing this matter. But this was like where she was confident enough in the power she had amalgamated up to this point to say, "I am here. I'm doing this, and you're either gonna use what little power you have to try and stop me, or you're gonna get out my way." And it was like they are very good villain. And I get it, Coco and Nozomi, and like I get the like attraction of that, but at the same time, I'm like Belle isn't wrong. Belle isn't wrong. Where has been in all this time?
Yeah, you weren't. Belle was not wrong. So
in my life, if somebody did that to me, say like I was dating someone and they were acting like Coco, I'd be like, bye. Like the door's over there. Just quit wasting my time, because that's what it was. Like, yeah, they were both living their lives, handling measures, which it's understandable. But there has to be, in my opinion, for a relationship to work, there has to be communication.
Yeah.
So even if it's just to be like, "Hey, so I hope you're doing well. I understand you're busy, but I just wanted to like communicate with you and see how you were doing."
But the thing is that they did communicate through letters, and they kept sending them back and forth. But it's like he never came and saw her, and so that's the thing that I was like, why aren't you coming to see me?
Like I said, I understand, but at the same time, I feel like yes, like long distance can be an option, but I feel like, is that truly like a full relationship? Is that like this future and like that? I guess that Nozomi's thinking, like she's thinking about becoming a good teacher, but at the end of the day, is that future going to be halted when Coco stops answering? Like she's built her whole life up around him, like this dream that spawned from him being present in her life. Like what remains when he's no longer in her life? And so, like I said, I'm sure there will be a redemption arc now. He's come back to save her. Like we've already seen the beginnings of it. He was there, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm like the hesitant kind, because it's like, to protect your feelings, you can't just go head first into this uncertainty to an extent. because that's what it is. Like he sends letters, yeah, but how long does it take to get a letter? Like it's a little flaky, in my opinion, sometimes, depending on the effort put in, and like how meaningful are their conversations at that point too. Like what is the quality of this little interaction that they do have? We don't know. Maybe that's what they show us. Maybe they like how both of them labor over their letter in an attempt to like present the best of themselves to the person they care about. That's my only call. Like I know it's done for the sake of like the romance aspect of this, and like I said, like with how they've progressed so far, like the quality of this anime or show so far, I definitely feel like they'll resolve it. They're pretty consistent. But at the same time, am I gonna enjoy it? I don't know. We're gonna see. I'm probably gonna get one over if we're being honest. I'm a little sucker sometimes, but we'll see. We'll see.
So I should ask you, how many cures out of 5 would you rank this show so far? You can't rank the entire show, obviously. We only have these what we know about.
As someone who has never been into Precure or anything related, in my knowledge of magical girl anime is Cardcaptor Sakura and Madoka Magica. I'll give it 4.5.
Wow. Really?
I give it high, but that's just because I think it's the adult perspective, like the perspective of an adult that really has set sail for me. That is what's really selling the show. It's like relatable, like it's our age group, it's like our demographic, really. Like the show isn't necessarily playing for the kids like it is like on a Saturday morning cartoon like it normally would. It's like it's playing to like the adult who's watching with their younger sibling or their kid that's watching. And I really love when a show does that, where it's not only for like it speaks to more than just one group.
Yeah. As a Precure fan and someone who loves Yes 5, I'm gonna rank it a 4 out of 5, not a 4.5, not even a 5. Because I like it and I enjoy it, but I really need to see where, if I'm judging it purely on these episodes, 4 out of 5, because I think the episodes were great. I think there are some things that I wish they would have focused on a bit more. You know what I mean? I like, usually, because I was talking about how in Castlevania, how it was such a slow burn. I don't know if it's because I enjoy these characters more, that I enjoy just slow burn just a little bit more. Or maybe it's because it's a bit more relatable and less fantastical. I think what keeps it from being like a 5 out of 5 for me is I just need to see more. Because I quite
it's like
enjoy it.
It's like for improvement, because we talked about that fear that it might just not hit.
Yeah.
And you're probably just like being ready. And I agree. Like where it loses like the half for me is like definitely like I don't mind that it's slow, but sometimes it does get a little like I say repetitive. Like I don't mind them always going back to this place to go ahead and eat food, have drinks, and like convene as like a group. But it does get a little old, especially also with like the jumping, like the perspective changes like just so quick. Like when I was writing my explanations, I felt like I was like, especially for episode 2, I was like, okay, we're here with Syrup. We're here with the girls. Wait, we're back with Syrup. Wait, no, we're with the girls. No, wait, Belle's giving a monologue inside a clock tower. And so I feel like it gets a little confusing in that aspect.
But I will say I do like that with this show, because they aren't confined to like Precure. Some of the Precure rules, they don't have to transform every episode too. Some episodes can just be character episodes. And I like that, because I feel like especially like magical girl shows, superhero shows in general, you always feel like you have to have that moment where they have to transform, especially like Sentai Power Rangers. You have to transform and then do this, that, and the other in order to meet like the quota of the episode, right? The monster of the week type of thing. I found it very enjoyable that they took the time, especially like in episode 4, where they could have had them transform, but they realized maybe I feel like from a writer's perspective, that would have just rushed it. You know what I mean? If they just transform and automatically had their powers. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have been too much of a rush. They take the time and say, no, we're going to focus on these character develop moments. And then we're going to you don't have to do it every episode. You know what I mean? I do feel like on episode 3 that focused on Cotton, it was a bit tacked on at the end for them to transform.
I think for me, it wasn't her. It wasn't cut-ins because it made sense. It was like
It
her
was
protecting her patient.
Mhm.
That was fine. Yes, Milk was
Milk.
like it hit, especially too. Like I said, I didn't even know she was the bunny until like she was drunk. So like for her to just suddenly be able to transform, it was like the freebie transformation.
Mhm.
I like the character. I love Milky Rose.
Mhm.
I love it. But did I need her at that time?
Yeah, you
No.
didn't. It was nice to show that relationship. I'm just worried because like this 12 episode thing, it needs to be more than 12 episodes. No way. There's no way the
Yeah.
show can only be 12 episodes. You at least give me another season after this because it will make no sense. You will have to rush the entire thing. Make
agree.
sure it's not 12 episodes. Hopefully it's not. But that's what I heard it is. They haven't, I don't know if they actually gave an actual announcement for how many episodes it is. It's weird because they didn't really, but I've seen some people say like in a magazine that they said it's 12 episodes.
Okay. And keep in mind, that's like tentative.
Mhm.
Like they got approved for 12 episodes, but if the show does well, then they can always extend for more.
That's the
But
history of
the
Precure
initial
anyway. Because Precure was supposed to be a 26 episode anime. And then all of a sudden it got so popular they was like, make this season 49. And then all of a sudden it's going on for 800 and some episodes. So you never know. You never know. Speaking of Precure, we're going to play a little game, Sabrina. I'm going to test your knowledge or your lack of knowledge on who you think these Precure teams are. We have several Precure teams, and I'm going to see just how much you can get correct with these team names, okay?
It's time for Guess That. Precure team with everyone's favorites hostess with the mostest. Professor Hotness. Take it away, Professor.
Hi everyone, it's me, Professor Hotness, and today I'm here with, are you okay, Professor S? I used to be Professor S's teacher, and now I'm here to test her on her horrible teaching tactics to make sure that she's being as horrible as possible. Today I'm here to test you on the amount of Precure teams that you can correctly guess, I suppose, and I'm giving a horrible explanation because that's what us horrible teachers do. Are you ready, Professor S?
I would just like to say I learned from the best about how to be horrible.
Stop being such a suck up. Are you ready?
Okay, Professor Brown.
As you can see,
Yes, sir.
there are tons of Precure here. Can you guess how many are on here?
I don't want to know.
Yeah. So let's get started. This is the first team out of every Precure team to ever Precure in existence, and the team that you probably will always see the most of if you ever hear this franchise. You have 1 out of 4 options. Is this Patatiwa Precure Max Heart? Is this Patatiwa Precure? Is this Patatiwa Precure Splash Star? Or is this Fresh Precure?
Patatiwa Precure.
Is it your final answer?
Yeah.
You are correct, but also incorrect, because the first season was Patatiwa Precure, but then the second season, with these same characters plus this third one, is Patatiwa Precure Max Heart.
That's a trick question.
Yes.
I get sliced up.
That's a trick question. Let's go to the next one. You may recognize or not recognize these characters. Are they Patatiwa Precure Splash Star? Patatiwa Precure. Oops. I already used that one. So are they Patatiwa Precure Splash Star, Fresh Precure, Sweet Precure, or Hufto Precure?
Well, it's hard. I know it's Splash Star. So what were my options again?
Splash Star, Fresh, Hufto, or I forgot the last one. Sweet.
It's Splash Star.
Splash Star.
Okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Here we go.
We talked about it on the beach.
So, these may seem recognizable to you. If not, you are a horrible watcher. Is this Yes Precure 5 / Yes Precure 5 Go Go? Is this Sweet Precure? Is this Fresh Precure? Or is this Smile Precure?
I know it's Star. Oh, I do not know if it is Go Go or Oh,
I put 5 and Go-Go in the same one, so
yeah, I'll do that.
correct. It is yes, Precure 5, Go-Go. It was 5 without milk, but now it's Go-Go with milk. Here we go. This is a team that you've probably never seen before. Have you seen this team before,
Yeah.
Professor S?
No, never in my life.
So here are your options. Is this Hugto Precure? Is this Healing Good Precure? Is this Happiness Charge Precure? Or is this Fresh Precure?
Or still happiness charged.
Happiness Charge? Sure. Alright.
Yeah, what?
It's Fresh Precure. Fresh Precure has the theme of dancing. And playing.
Okay. I just thought power charged because it looked like they were techie.
This is the season that probably saved Precure because the ratings were so low on Yes Precure 5 Go-Go because of the sequel show that without this show, Precure as a franchise would not exist anymore.
Yeah.
Next, this is a season that is very popular within the anime community, not just within the Precure. This is the Precure season that you see other people talk about when they've never seen Precure before besides this season. Is this Sweet Precure? Is this Go Princess Precure? Is this Happiness Charge Precure? Or is this, oh lord, not me forgetting other names. Let me think of another one. See, look at me being the terrible teacher. That's what you're supposed to do. Or is this, oh lord, I can't remember Precure names. Let me say Heartcatch Precure. Which one?
I'm gonna say it's the princess.
I'm gonna say it's Go Princess Precure. Ha ha ha, tricked you. It's actually Heartcatch Precure.
Oh, that's terrible.
Heartcatch Precure is the Precure season that I mentioned earlier, the one that has the great storyline and a very serious story. It's won quite a few
You're right.
Anime of the Year awards too. It won an Anime of the Year award in 2010. It's quite good, and that Precure, the purple one right there, is one of the first older Precures. He's around like 17 years old. It deals with themes of death, depression, things like that. Yay!
I was gonna say I will.
Alright, so this is another theme. So I'm going to ask you, is this Smile Precure? Is this Doki Doki Precure? Is this Kira Kira Precure a la mode? Or is this Sweet Precure?
Doki Doki?
Doki Doki. Are you sure?
I said questionably, yeah.
This is actually Sweet Precure. Sweet Precure is a Precure that focuses on music. And it is quite a fun show. It's mostly a comedic show. And it's pretty fun. So how many did you get right so far, Sabrina? And how many did you
2. 2?
Yes, that is correct. See, I said Sabrina. Professor S. OMG. See, that's how you know I'm a
So unprofessional.
so professional. You did get 2 wrong, and that is great for you. 2 right, and that is great for you. Alright, so here is another team. You might think they look similar to Yes 5. Do you think so? With the color scheme?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's the same color scheme. So is this Smile Precure? Is this Happiness Charge Precure? Is this Star Twinkle Precure? Or is this Tropical Rouge Precure?
Let's really start.
Are you sure?
Yeah, why not? Screw it. I got the rest wrong anyway.
It's actually Smile Precure.
Smile pretty good. You know.
Okay, this is one of the Precure seasons that a few years ago got dubbed into Glitter Force. I should say localized Force on Netflix. They butchered it, but they also did they did an okay job with a localization, but they shouldn't have localized it like that anyway. It's a kid's show. What do you have to cut out? Anyways, Smile Precure. Really excellent season. It's one of the seasons that people say you should start off with if you've never seen Precure before. So that will be Smile Precure and Heartcatch Precure. Next one. Is this season Delicious Party Precure, Go Princess Precure, Hugto Precure, or Doki Doki Precure?
Oh, princess. Why not? They got the cute skirt.
Are you sure?
Yeah, skirt. I got the rest wrong anyway. I don't care. I got my 2 that I knew.
It's Doki Doki Precure. A good way to know that it's Doki Doki Precure is look at all the hearts. There's a heart there. It has a card theme motif for this season.
They all got, every single set of girls got hearts, poofy skirts, stars, and shining. How am I supposed to know?
This season, while many Precure seasons are serialized and story focused, this season is probably the most serialized Precure season because every episode matters to the story. If you miss one episode, you're probably going to miss something that happened in the story. Next season, is this Happiness Charge Precure? Is this Hugto Precure? Is this Go Princess Precure? Or is this Soaring Sky Precure?
Okay, so I know it's supposed to be 5. But this girl's legit wearing a crown. If this ain't Princess Precure, I don't know what the heck is. Okay?
It's Happiness Charge Precure.
What the heck?
But the girl wearing the crown is a princess.
Okay, I quit.
The girl wearing the crown is actually, her name is Cure Princess. So, I can see why you actually, would come to that conclusion. It makes sense. There's also a crown right there, but that's okay. Now, let's see. They cheated.
I got this knowledge. This Precure. It's like...
Alright. So, is this Maho Girls Precure? Is this Doki Doki Precure? Is this Kira Kira Precure a la mode? Or is this Go Princess Precure?
Princess.
Correct. It is actually Go Princess. You can tell by the dresses and all of them have crowns.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And one of them actually is also a princess.
It's only one.
One of them is actually born into regality. Yeah, this one should be simple, okay? Is it Kira Kira Precure a la mode? Is it Hugto Precure? Is it Maho Girls Precure / Witchy Precure? Or is this Delicious Party Precure?
Witchy Precure?
Correct. Yes, Maho Girls Precure. How could you tell?
I don't know.
Maybe not the witchy hats on top of their head.
Totally wasn't the purple girl having literal bat wings for pigtails. That's for sure.
It's true. I never noticed that detail, actually. Alright. This one is very interesting. The two up there may be in a relationship. They're like the Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune of the season. That's what I'm going to say. So, is this Kira Kira Precure a la mode? Star Twinkle Precure? Healing Good Precure? Or Delicious Party Precure?
Delicious Party Precure.
Close, but it's actually Kira Kira Precure a la mode. Both
That's
of them
the one
have
I
to do
was
with
thinking.
cooking. Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, that one
This is
is
the one I make the joke.
yeah,
This is the one I make the joke with parfait. There she is right there. The one with the parfait on top of her head.
Poor haircut.
Alright. Is this Healing Good Precure? Hugto Precure? Happiness Charge Precure? Or Star Twinkle Precure?
What were my first options?
Healing Good, Hugto, Happiness, Star Twinkle.
Healing Good.
Incorrect. It's actually Hugto.
They ain't hugging nobody.
Doesn't it look like they want to give you a hug? Huh?
Like maybe the girl in the front with her hand out, but the rest are just okay, I take that back.
Your arms right there.
Yeah. But the first two girls are all at once.
Let's want to get the baby hug. Huh?
Oh, okay. You're right, the baby. Okay, the baby should have given it away. My bad.
Alright. Is this Star Twinkle Precure? Is this Happiness Charge Precure? Is this Healing Good Precure? Or is this Tropical Rouge Precure?
Star Twinkle.
Correct. So I'm just making sure because I was gonna look at you because
I was about to say, I was like, it's just stars. If the stars are a sign, then I was gaslit again.
Yeah, because everybody has a star. Everybody.
You guys missed when I was gaslit to find the single crown a girl was wearing, looking at this Princess Precure.
Is this Healing Good Precure, Tropical Rouge Precure, Soaring Sky Precure, or Delicious Party Precure?
Oh, that's hard. What were my options again?
Madoka. Healing Good, Tropical Rouge, Delicious Party, or Soaring Sky?
Soaring Sky.
Incorrect. It's actually Healing Good. Which
Really?
one is Madoka?
I don't know.
Madoka, I
pink
mean, I
girl?
should say. Yes, it is the pink girl. She's one of the best pinks, too. Poor girl, sick throughout the entire
Okay.
show.
I just saw
Whatever.
the wings on the girl in purple, and I was like, oh, Soaring Sky, yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, that does make sense. No, Healing
Anyway.
Good. It has like a flower motif a little bit, as you can tell.
Yeah. That was my second option.
Maybe. I'm healing. And nature, so healing. Alright. Is this Tropical Rouge Precure, or Soaring Sky Precure, or Delicious Party Precure?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna go Soaring... Wait, no. Shit. Tropical
Tropical Rouge. Delicious Party. Oh, Tropical Rouge. Correct. How do you know it's Tropical Rouge?
Okay, so at first I was gonna think Soaring Sky, because again, I saw the girl with the feather-looking thing in her hair, but then I realized that they were all in bathing suits, and I thought of the beach, and then...
And you see the little seal. You just see the seal?
Honestly, no, the tint on these glasses, I could not... I didn't notice them until you pointed them out, and I was trying to laugh.
Soaring Sky Precure or Delicious Party Precure?
Delicious party. You just give me two options now, you're
Correct.
done.
Yeah. Which one is this one?
Soaring Sky.
Exactly. It's the first Precure with a male Precure, a lead cure that's blue, and technically an adult Precure because she's 18 years old and knows how to drive.
That's cool.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of things.
See,
It's the 20th
there's hope
season.
for you yet, Professor Brown. You could be a Precure.
You think? Wow. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on today's very long episode. I'm so glad that everyone here enjoyed it. I'm so glad that I'm about to close my laptop and go eat. Professor S, where's Sabrina?
Oh, my bad.
Sabrina, there you are. Did you
Yeah.
enjoy today's episode?
I definitely did, though, again, I think we were both hungry and tired.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on the So I'm a Fan of podcast. Everyone say bye. Well, Sabrina say bye. Go
Bye.
watch Precure.
Good luck.
Go watch Precure. Go watch Precure. Say it.
Go watch
Go watch
Precure. Good luck, bye.
Because you mean it.
Not
Okay,
me.
yay.
Right. Professor Brown? Professor? As you can see, I've kicked him out the classroom as he was
Lord,
giving
this
me a
one.
very hard time. So, as I enjoy myself as the sole professor now, I just hope you all know that this brief interruption is brought to you by I'm a Fan of Online Shop, where they sell a variety of merchandise, including stickers, hats, sweatshirts, etc. So feel free to get all of your I'm a Fan of apparel right there. Link will be in the description. along with our social media platforms.
Sabrina, Professor S, are you
Who
there?
doesn't love a good sticker? And if you make suggestions in the comments, I'm sure we can expand more in the future. Support our lovely hosts and allow for a more enriched experience for you guys as well, with upgraded equipment, and maybe we can do some fun exploration episodes. Maybe Kaiser will take us on a fun exercise routine, show us how he got the nice arms that he showed earlier, or maybe a behind the scenes of how he makes videos and does editing. I'm on the record. I apologize. Vacuum.
Ghostface isn't there, is he? It shows I left. I'm still here.
Again, I apologize. The woman broke into my house and started vacuuming.